Travolting presents The Fraser's Edge. Hosted by Jeff Sweeney and Stuart Elmore. Covering Guilty Until Proven Innocent. Enjoy the episode. All right, so Stuart.
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
My client has been presumed guilty.
That's right, folks. This week we're covering, as you heard in the intro, Guilty Until Proven Innocent.
Oh,
however, there might be some Paul Wenko superfans out there who are screaming into their car stereos or phones or headsets, Walkmans, whatever you listen to the show on.
Walkmans.
Screaming at that intro because you might know this motion picture as Presumed Guilty. Because this is a movie with two titles.
Yeah.
A movie that on everything that I can find about it, like websites, IMDb, Wikipedia, all this stuff, it's listed as, even like when I rented it or when I watched it on YouTube I watched it on YouTube. It's listed as Guilty Until Proven Innocent. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Movie starts. Title pops up. Presumed guilty. There's a poster for it. It says, Presumed Guilty. So I have no idea what the fuck's going on here. So
I don't either. I'm just going by the IMDb name.
Yes. So I found another movie from 1991 called Presumed Guilty.
Yeah.
The only thing I can imagine is that there was another movie named Presumed Guilty. They didn't know at the time. They had to change this movie's title last minute.
Yeah, maybe.
That's just what I'm guessing happened.
Can we talk about the fact, and this is kind of going into the context corner a little bit, that Brendan Fraser, 1991.
Yes.
What a year.
What a year.
He was doing a lot.
He was cooking.
He was
cooking with gas.
Background actor on
Child of Darkness,
Child of Light. And he was a sailor who had a line of dialogue
in Dogfight.
And
then he got this.
And then he got a lead role in a TV movie. It sounds awfully familiar, Jeff.
It kind of does, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
It sounds like we've maybe talked about this exact phenomenon before.
It's almost like, it's strange because it's like, is there any other actor we know whose first movie they were just a no-name background, and in their second movie they were just like a supporting character with like a line or two?
Yeah, it's so.
And then they star in a TV movie.
It's so on the tip of my tongue, you could almost call it Travolting. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Many years ago, George Lucas said those famed words about the Star Wars prequel trilogy. And we're bringing them back, folks, for our episode on Guilty Until Proven Innocent.
Yes. So, yeah. Oh, okay, we'll just say
yes.
it. Like John, this is very similar to John Travolta's openings, which makes me think we have not talked about the movie after this.
We have not yet.
But if we're in the same track, what happened after John Travolta's first starring TV movie role?
Yes.
Was
Boy in the Plastic Bubble, which, as we know, features Buzz Aldrin.
Right. You say that a lot.
Yes.
But folks, even when we're not recording the podcast, we'll be like sitting in a room together just reading a book or something. Jeff will be like, Boy in the Plastic Bubble with guest starring astronaut Buzz Aldrin. I'm like, Jeff, you're reading Pride and Prejudice.
Like, well, and Zombies, but.
Yeah. So the movie after Boy in the Plastic Bubble was Saturday Night Fever, the Oscar-nominated movie that got John Travolta his name. You spewed him out into the ether as a big-name actor, got him his next few like amazing lead roles for his blowout crash. So surely, Jeff, surely we're heading to that amazing blow-up movie with Brendan Fraser.
Yes, because I mean, like, Saturday Night Fever is what came after Travolta's
Boy in the Plastic
Bubble, yes.
Starring...
Because it went Devil's Reign, Carrie, Boy in the Plastic Bubble, Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
And we go Child of Darkness, Child of Light, Dogfight, Guilty Until Proven Innocent, and Encino Man. Because Child of Darkness, Child of Light, that was very similar to Devil's Reign.
Yes. So
it really is rhyming.
It's starting to.
It's really starting to rhyme.
Yeah.
And then the argument is that, Saturday Night Fever is really kind of Travolta's debut.
Yes.
He's in three things prior to that, but that's the movie that kind of pops him off.
Yeah.
And without getting ahead, Encino Man is kind of the movie that pops Fraser off.
Yeah. In a good way?
I think so.
We'll talk about
it. Tune in next week.
But it's a claim I'm going to make right now, and I know I'm hogging up your context corner.
No, you're not hogging anything.
I'll yield my time in a second, Mr. Congressman. But I argue, dare I say it, that the performances differentiation between John Travolta and Brendan Fraser in their first starring TV movie, Brendan Fraser's got the edge.
He's pretty good in this.
He's pretty good in. I'm so glad you agree.
Yeah, he's pretty good in this.
He's pretty good in this.
I would cut the pretty out of that. He just is good in this.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Martin Sheen, but I would say this has got a cooking cast.
This does have a cooking cast.
Now
that would be a good name for a podcast too. The cooking cast.
The cooking cast.
Yeah, where we cook food, and the amount of time it takes us to finish making the dish, we have to discuss an actor's career in the movies that they're cooking in. The cooking cast.
I'm deleting this so we don't have to give this idea. No. I like this idea. I'm deleting it so nobody steals
We'd
this.
have to sell it to
because
someone.
this is fucking Jeff, how did you just blew that one out of the water? A cooking cast?
The cooking
when we're
cast.
cooking scrambled eggs and talking about Hayden Christensen in episode 2?
I was cooking. He's cooking.
He was cooking. I mean, the I Hate Sand was as spicy as this Cholula sauce. Am I right?
I just vomit good ideas exclusively. That's why we're here in the second season of Travolta.
So, what else context corner do you have to fill in for us?
The context corner for this movie is that this movie does not exist.
Which is kind of sad.
So this movie, we found it on YouTube. Just someone uploaded it.
Yes.
Last year, I think. It was a fairly recent upload, I think.
Yeah, one thing is a year or 2 years ago.
It might have been Child of Darkness that had the recent upload, but I think it was this.
Yeah.
Very recent upload. It's the only way we could find to watch this movie.
Yeah.
It's directed by Paul Wentgos, who's kind of just he's a TV movie guy.
Mm-hmm.
A well-respected one for his work.
Mm-hmm.
Got nominated for an Emmy at one point. I don't really recognize basically any of the movies that he's done, but he's had a long career doing TV movies.
Yeah.
From late 60s to his last movie was in 99.
Okay, so this is on the end of his career.
Yeah, this is at the latter end. And I think he was just kind of respected as a guy who would come in and he would get the movie done and he would turn in a competently made product.
Yeah.
And that's not, I don't mean to disparage, competently made product is, he got in, he did the work.
Mm-hmm.
He made the movie.
Yeah.
Probably came in on time and on budget.
Yeah.
But aside from that, this movie, that's the only place we can find it. It has no trivia on IMDb. There couldn't find any articles about the making of it. No interviews with Martin Sheen for it. No Brendan Fraser articles about it.
No.
It basically just kind of exists in a vacuum. And when I went, because I have a Letterboxd account, when I went to log this movie after I watched it yesterday, 88 other people had watched this movie, and that was it.
Wow.
That's a very low. I've not seen that numbers that low in quite a while.
Really?
Yeah.
No, none of the other no-name Travolta movies that
I mean, I'm sure if I looked back at Basement's the Dumbwaiter, it's probably in that range, but
yeah. That
at least had Robert Altman going for it for those weird completionists.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say weird completionists. We are on a Brendan Fraser podcast right now. But there was just I was the 89th person on Letterboxd to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And over that platform's 12-year career.
Is Letterboxd been going on for 12 years?
I would have to look up exactly, but that sounds about right to me. 2010 seems like when that app would have come about.
It seemed like a lot more newer than that.
Because it was a website before it was an app.
Yeah.
Stuart has actually pulled Letterboxd up.
The website
The
Letterboxd. I don't have the app.
It launched October of 2011.
Damn.
It was not an app
crazy.
at the time. It was just a website.
Crazy to me to think that. Okay, so but yeah. And summer this released in 91, which means he would have had to have shot this either early 91 or late 1990.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal with Dogfight and Child of Darkness, Child of Light.
Because we've established that he basically he graduated from college and then he went
goes
to LA.
to work.
And he goes to he must have just got in LA, got some extra roles.
Yeah.
And while he's doing extra roles, he's just going to audition after audition after audition.
Yeah.
And Dogfight probably comes out of that, and then this comes out of that. He was a hot young star. He must have just really impressed a talent agent in a casting in an open casting call.
This really does. Watching this movie, I can feel it be oh, this is just a good audition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was this movie even starts with the words introducing Brendan Fraser as Bobby McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Because like this is his movie, and they think they have a star in their hands.
Yeah.
And it's funny that this is the movie that gets to put introducing Brendan Fraser.
It is funny, but I'm kind of glad.
Yeah. Like Encino Man doesn't get to put introducing Brendan Fraser. Because this has beat it to the punch, and this movie doesn't exist.
Right. Which is sad.
Yes.
Because I would say I would put this on a reel.
Yeah, he's good. Like we said, he's good in this, and I enjoyed this movie.
I did too.
Did I love this movie? No, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a competently made movie.
I think you and I will be on the same page a lot about this movie. Like, it's very conventionally made.
Yes.
But you add the spice of Martin Sheen and Brendan Fraser riffing off each other.
Yeah. It's a movie I was not displeased to sit there and watch for 90 minutes.
Correct. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool.
I sat in studio silence. I respected it, and then I left.
Yeah. It's going to go and end the same way you think it's going to go.
Yes.
Now, it's also, we can talk about the fact that this is based on a true story, roughly.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, did it say at the beginning? And
Yeah.
I totally missed it.
It's based on a true story.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I am clearly not as...
I'm sure they changed the names and all that stuff, but like...
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, they absolutely changed the names.
There's a few different like reviews and articles that are like, guilty until proven innocent or whatever, the story that it's based on.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the exact, the details they probably changed. I mean, like, it seems to me like, the guy did spend like 15 years in prison.
Because he spends 10 years in prison in this movie, I believe.
I think he spends 15 years.
Does he? No, because he's sentenced to 15 years and he gets out before then.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, do you want to we can just dive right into the movie at this point.
Let's just dive right into it. So we open up at a park.
Yes, we open up in a park.
New York City.
Yes, the Big Apple itself.
Yes. And there's a murder right away.
Yes, there's like already a dead body there, right?
Yeah, there's no like gunshot going on.
Yeah, we don't see the murder.
Right, we don't see a murder. And so we just see like police presence and some ambulances.
Yeah.
They're moving a body into the ambulance. And
well, there is a robbery first that we do see.
There is.
Yeah, because it starts off and there's like a couple walking through the park and they get put down and held at gunpoint. There's already a dead body, though.
Right.
So the person's already been killed.
Yeah.
Who we must simply say his name is Spooky Halstead.
Did you look that up?
No, that's what they keep saying. He's just like, I didn't shoot Spooky Halstead. It's like, okay, well, you could have picked a better name for this guy.
Yeah,
okay.
Spooky Halstead.
Like, is he a scary guy? Like, what's going on?
Know.
Like, why is he spooky?
Is that his birth certificate name?
It's opening up more questions.
Is that his legal name on his social security card?
Spooky Halstead.
Spooky Halstead. Mr. Spooky Halstead.
Do you prefer Mr. Spooky or Mr. Halstead? Mr. Spooky, please. Mr. Spooky was my father.
You know those like formal websites where it like lists the names and it lists the last name first, then first name, so it'd be like Halstead Spooky.
Please, Mr. Spooky was my father.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how it starts off. Spooky Halstead is dead.
Yes. There's a robbery.
Two people get ripped off. Three people get ripped off because there's like the short kid. In the back.
Is that the guy who testifies? Jimmy.
Yes, Jimmy.
Jimmy Pop or whatever.
Jimmy O'Neill.
Jimmy O'Neill.
Jimmy O'Neill. And Jimmy's like, "Oh no, we're getting robbed."
That's actually a good impression of Jimmy O'Neill.
That's how he sounds in this movie.
Oh my God, I didn't kill Spooky Winston. He's not British.
I don't know why you just did that.
I don't know why I did that either.
Okay, but
we eventually see Bobby McLaughlin, Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, so
drunk.
The guy runs off, whoever killed them.
Yeah.
And we cut to Bobby McLaughlin, Brendan Fraser coming home and knocking on his family door drunk.
Yes.
And the movie ends.
Well, and I think the mom opens up first, played by
Carolyn Cava,
who is a name, not a no name.
She has been in a lot of stuff, but nothing like pop. She never had something pop.
Right.
Like she directed some shorts. She was born on the 4th of July. She's from Chicago.
Yeah.
But she's just like someone who pops up in things and then, takes on a more substantial role when it comes to TV movies.
Yeah.
Like this.
So I think it's Carolyn Cavo plays Mary Hone.
Yes, Mary Hone.
And you may be asking, well, they don't have the same last name, so it's not his mom. You'd be correct because
it's a foster home.
It's a foster home.
Yes.
And Bobby McLaughlin is a foster child.
Yes. And it's her and her husband, Harold, played by
Martin Sheen,
who is he's always just cooking.
He's
I think he's literally given like the most like scripted lines ever in this movie.
Yes.
Like you could have just like gotten one of them bingo machines that where you like toss up all the balls, thrown lines from court movies into it, and like popped them out. Martin Sheen saying them, but he's selling them.
I would say like Act 1, he's almost kind of like when you ignite the cooker burner and then you turn the gas up and it's way too hot, and then you find that perfect temperature in the middle. I think that's what Martin Sheen's performance in this movie is like. It's a little too hot in the beginning, but then by Act 2 and Act 3, when he's
found perfect temperature,
he got a good flame size. It's boiling the rice real nice. You're gonna get a nice
pot of rice.
Nice pot of rice.
Because at the beginning, he's just like, Bobby, you're a piece of shit. Like, he's immediately like...
There is a line where he says, right now I'm glad he's not our true son. I'm like, Jesus.
Martin Sheen really coming in hot. Just like, he's disappointed in this kid.
Yes.
And, Bobby comes in and he passes out.
On the couch, yeah.
And his parents are like, and Dad's like, you're a bum.
You're a
and
bum.
His mom's like, we love you, but you should get a job.
And, we wake up the next day, and that's when, the officers are investigating the case.
Yeah.
And they pick up Jimmy O'Neill.
Yeah, Jimmy was talking to the cops the first night.
Yes.
And they're like, I'm going to show you some pictures.
Yeah, so they're already in, like, the police precinct
they're like,
office.
describe the guy. They put him in the system and a bunch of images of cops.
We love the big boxy computer screens with, like, old-ass data.
And it's just like...
Yeah.
Like, all these pictures going by.
And it's like, do you recognize this man? It shows a face. That's not Bobby's. No. They keep going through some faces, and it's like, oh, that's the guy. So they find a face, and I can't remember the guy's name.
No, it's Billy Farrow.
Billy Farrow, that's right. So they find Billy Farrow. So he's like, okay, Billy Farrow. So then he goes to the cabinet and he finds like the notepad, the Rolodex or whatever. He finds Billy Farrow. And on the note card, there's a previous arrest on it. And it says arrested with
Bobby McLaughlin.
Bobby McLaughlin, and then so he's like, okay, so he looks through the Rolodex again and he finds Robert I. McLaughlin or whatever the fuck.
It's I'm sure I think it's spelled with an O, so I think it's more like McLaughlin.
Well, and
I could be wrong.
There's a middle name differentiation.
Yes.
I think it's like the guy he was actually arrested with didn't have a middle initial, whereas then when he looked through the Rolodex, he found the guy with the middle initial I, which was Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
So he says, "Do you also recognize this guy?" He says, "Yes."
Jimmy kind of like hesitates for a second. He's like, "Yeah, I think so."
Yeah, but he still says yes.
He does say yes.
He does say yes. And this is the thing that's weird is like Jimmy is like their star witness on this.
Yes. Not just their star witness, he's the only witness.
And he's the only piece of evidence.
Yes.
Which is like, this is the biggest thing about like wrongful convictions is that witness testimony is like the least reliable testimony.
Yes.
Because stories change, there's implanting memory, there's fading memory, there's always coercion and stuff.
I'm reading Helter Skelter right now, which is the book about the Manson murders and the investigation to solve them. And like, there's just so much of that in that case that happened, like witness hearsay and like the family members changing their stories and whatnot. That's just like it's impossible to piece it together.
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah, almost. And but yeah, so eventually he's like, okay. So then the cops come to their house.
Yeah, they come to the house. And Bobby's he opens the door.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Are you Robert McLaughlin?" He's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You're coming with us, son." He's like, "What did I do?"
And he's like, "Nothing. We just need you to we need you for to help with an investigation or something." They don't say he's under arrest.
They don't.
So Bobby goes with them.
We should say Fraser is he's doing an accent in this
73
movie.
episodes. You still haven't let go.
He's doing an accent in this. And I think it's a little dodgy at times.
Is it an accent?
Like he drops in and out of it a lot.
I never
But
noticed.
it never distracts from his performance.
What kind of an accent is he?
He's trying to do like a Brooklyn accent. Because there's a few times where he's like, Ma, I didn't do this.
Then I think it was good that he dropped it.
Well, the thing is, he'll drop it for like 10 minutes and then it comes back. It's like scene by scene basis almost.
Okay.
And like it really isn't that distracting, but is noticeable. And so I think like that's the kind of the cool thing about watching this as like his first real movie.
Yeah.
Is like you're seeing all like the rookie like flubs.
Okay, but then are we gonna? Speaking of Travolta,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about Gina.
Yeah.
Gina,
We talked about
come
Gina.
back, Gina. Like I gotta say,
Yeah.
like first 10 minutes, like Fraser is destroying the floor.
Oh, yeah. Like
Versus where Travolta
no
was.
doubt he's great in this movie. He's giving a good performance.
Yeah.
I just think it's fun to like kind of see the beginning where he's still working on some of his skills that he'll employ later.
Versus like we
He like nobody comes into their art fully formed.
right.
There's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of discovery. There's a lot of growing as an actor and as a person. And it's fun to see like the baseline level of that. Where he's
Yeah.
like struggling with accents, which a lot of first time actors do.
Right.
But it's the fact that he tries that I find kind of like it's cool. He's trying to do an accent. He's pushing himself instead of just sticking to something.
Most other people will just be like, "Oh, that fuckhead's trying to do an accent.
Yeah.
It's terrible."
But
Jeff
no,
Sweeney, very nice.
yeah, that's just like he's pushing him. Like he didn't have to do an accent
Right.
unless they're like, "You're doing an accent." Like,
Yeah.
but he's pushing himself and he's trying something,
Yeah.
which I like in this performance.
Yeah.
That he's trying stuff in a movie that probably doesn't really require much trying.
Of course, yeah. And so they bring him in for a lineup, and Jimmy O'Neill's looking, and he points out,
I got a question.
yes,
Where did these other guys from the lineup come from? So like normally in a lineup, it's like they pick like 10 guys from a vicinity. They're like they pick up 10 guys who look like somebody in this area.
do you want to know like the real way they form a lineup?
But I want to know for this specific instance.
Okay.
Because they picked up Robert McLaughlin, the specific guy, and brought him in. They did not case an area. Where do the other 4 dudes come from?
I don't know.
Like, you get what I'm asking?
Kinda.
Because, like, normally if, like, it's like we have a witness. He spotted a guy who's 5'11", like 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And it was, like, right after the crime. They would just set up police barricades. And if they would, scope their system and try and find anyone who matches that description, they bring them all in.
Yeah.
And then they would have them on a lineup and see if the kid recognized anyone.
Yeah.
That's not the case here. They had a specific name.
So they bring in a bunch of Robert McLaughlins?
No, but they clearly only had one Robert McLaughlin to bring in. Otherwise, they would have brought both the guys in. Because there is another Robert McLaughlin.
Yeah.
I just want to know where do these other 4 dudes come from?
I guess like...
I guess like where the cops just like, yeah, let's just pick some random 5'11" guys from the holding cell. Is that like how this worked?
So typically like in real life, they're just other cops.
Are they?
Yeah. In real life, it's usually other cops.
Interesting. So maybe it's just the cops.
That match the description.
Yeah, okay.
Ish.
If it's just cops as the other guys, that makes
If
sense.
it's like, he was, black, he was, 5'7" he had a tattoo or something, then they're gonna find guys that have that sort of description. If they can't find it in their own precinct,
Yeah.
then maybe they'll find somebody.
Okay, if it's other cops, that answers my question.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, where did they find these other guys from?
No, that's typically how lineups
okay.
are kind of run.
Okay.
That's why The Usual Suspects makes no fucking sense to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because none of those guys look at all alike.
Give me the keys, you cocksucker. What
Right.
the fuck?
Give me the keys, you cocksucker. What the fuck?
Benicio's so good in that.
Yeah, he is.
Benicio cast.
Yeah.
Benicio del podcast?
Oh, stop.
Podcast del Toro?
We're on episode 3 of Fraser's Edge, Jeff. I will not hear this slander. So Jimmy O'Neill, I think fairly quickly
He
points
fingers Fraser.
because it's the same fucking picture.
Yes. It's the same guy.
It's the
guy you showed him the picture of.
yeah. So it's like this is a really botched
Yeah.
like lineup.
This is all botched police work.
Yeah, and so He's like, all right, you guys can all leave, and they're all walking out except Robert and Bobby's like in the last of the line, and the cops like pin him in the door.
Yeah.
And they're like, you gonna let me go? It's like, no, you're under arrest. I'm like, what am I under arrest for?
He does say, I'm a loser. Oh, wait, no, this is when his parents come.
Yeah.
But he gets his one phone call.
Yeah, he gets his one phone call, calls his mom.
Yeah.
This is the strangest phone call ever.
Yeah.
Because, like, the cop says, like, hurry up, you don't have a lot of time. And then he's like, calls his mom. He's like, Mom, I don't have a lot of time, but I just got arrested for murder. And blah, 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 blah.
And you're like, whoa!
And I'm like, and I don't know, I didn't
Martin,
do
he's like, that bum, I knew he'd do it. I knew
But
he'd
that's
kill
the
him.
thing. Martin, on the phone,
Yeah.
is like, well, be honest with you, son. Did you do it? And I'm like, Jesus, Martin. Not much support in your own son there. He's like, no, I did. Of course I didn't do it. It's like, I didn't even know the guy. And so the mom, Carol, is like, oh, like, okay, son, like, do you have a lawyer or something? It's like, no. And eventually the cop just hangs up for him.
Yeah, the cop just hangs the phone up.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah. The cops think this guy's like a scumbag.
Apparently.
They hate him.
Yeah. So,
his parents come and they talk for a bit, and I think this is a really nice little scene. Fraser gets to kind of like break down and be like, he says, I am a loser, but I did not do this.
yeah.
And like the idea the movie's trying to get at is it's like when someone who like is so obvious, like someone who you just wouldn't mind seeing locked up.
Yeah.
When your prejudices are working against you,
Yeah.
you still have to maintain like objectivity in the court,
Yeah.
which this movie does not do.
Yeah.
Or the characters don't.
And Fraser really does like sell that like
He's not a great guy.
hoodlum teenager.
Yeah.
Very well.
Like you aren't like, yeah, he's playing such a great stand-up guy in this, but you're like, he's just a kid. He's struggling. He's a foster kid.
Yeah.
And he's had a tough relationship with his parents.
Yeah. And the way he sells it to Martin Sheen in like the glass like scene where he's like, Dad, like, I lost my virginity at 14. Like I bought drugs, but I never sold them. I stole, but I never robbed. And he like does this whole scene. Like, really,
he's like, I was a bad kid, but I did not murder somebody.
right. Yeah. We get to the trial pretty quickly then, don't we?
Well, they can't afford his bail,
Right.
but they do buy him a suit, and they keep saying like, it's 1 week, and then we'll be at trial.
Did we miss the scene where like he gets thrown into like the pen full of the criminals?
Yeah.
And he starts to get picked on by a bunch of other guys, and he's like, he starts to try and throw a fight, and a cop comes in. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa!
Yeah.
It's like, you don't want to pick a fight with this guy. It's like, well, one at a time I do. It's like, well, which one? It's like that one.
And then the cop throws him at him.
And the cop throws them at each other. They start fighting.
The thugs in this pen, like it's literally that scene from Elf where Will Ferrell's in like the nice suit surrounded by the thuggiest guys in the world. Is this scene?
And then he gets like tossed up against a wall, and he talks to who is it, Pharaoh? I think the guy's name was.
Yeah, he talks to Pharaoh.
And Pharaoh, who was the guy who was arrested with him, he was the guy who was identified first.
Yes.
So he's talking. It's like, you went for the same thing I did, and he's like, I don't even know you, man. And it's like, yeah, like they say we did it. It's like, well, for my sake, I hope you did do it because I had nothing to do with this murder. Yeah, just weird. They decide to go to try both of them together for the same crime.
Yeah.
This is where we get the introduction of who their public defender is.
Yeah, Beverly.
Who is
the worst
fucking waste of space in this one.
The worst lawyer.
Just gives public defenders the worst rap ever. I mean, like, public defenders aren't like the best, but they got at least some brains on them.
Yeah, like public defenders, like they're usually people who are trying to like do a good job, who are like overworked.
And she goes for a full acquittal.
Yeah.
This is the thing about public defenders. Is public defenders, yes, they do try, but they often try for like plea deals and stuff. Like they're like, okay, so obviously you can't afford a lawyer who can do all this work for you to maybe get you off fully. Yeah. But I'm at least going to do my best to get you like a plea bargain. Like maybe we can get you like manslaughter or maybe like 3rd degree or something. And maybe with an option of parole. She doesn't do. It's like, now, I'll make sure to do the voice. We're going to get him a full acquittal, I promise.
That was actually a really good voice.
It's literally what she tells the parents like 5 times.
And she keeps insisting like, it's a cakewalk. I've tried worse in my life. It's going to be so easy. This woman literally walks him to the grave and says, "Get in."
And it's like, why are they trying them together? It's like they're gonna think he's a scumbag with this other guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, literally, I guess we can. There's some business with the trial, but I guess we can fast forward through it. She does a really dog shit job. And Martin Sheen hasn't quite made up his mind whether he's like on the side of his son, but he's at least trying to like nudge the attorney to like do something. So eventually they go to the jury decision.
Yeah.
And of course,
They're found guilty.
they're like,
With the worst.
The title of the movie should have given it
Yes.
away to you folks. That of course he's going to be found guilty.
And at this point, Sheen has pretty much fully turned into being in support of Bobby.
Yeah.
Like Bobby's whole like confession room or like visitation room confession to his dad of like, I was a bad kid. I'm sorry, but I did not kill somebody. Really has kind of swayed him.
Yeah.
As did a negative lie detector test.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
they do a lie detector test.
Yeah, we missed that part. There's a lot of little small bits that, in the grand scheme of it, like,
You get. We're covering what tells you the story.
yeah. So they do the lie detector, and he passes with flying colors. And they even talk to the guy about it. It's like, listen, I've talked to like 50 criminals in my day.
Yeah.
I don't think your son did it.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, guy.
Yeah. Dude, can you? I'm not a lawyer, but like, I almost think that's something that the defense attorney should have like, introduced in discovery to like put in for like the trial. I don't know.
You can't. Lie detector tests are inadmissible in court.
Fully inadmissible.
Fully inadmissible, I believe. Well, that's what it says in this movie.
All right. Well,
Because that's what the guy says in this
law degree, bar exam passed, Jeff Sweeney,
Yeah.
folks.
Well, that's what he says in this movie.
Okay.
Anyway, so Fraser goes to prison.
Yes.
And he yells at the judge like, I did not do this.
I didn't do it.
I didn't do
I
it.
didn't do it. You're out of order. You're out of order.
Right before it's announced, Sheen's like, he'll get off. This is America, isn't it?
Wah, 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 wah.
So Fraser goes to jail. And he kind of like breaks down talking to his parents. Like, we're going to get an appeal. We're going to get an appeal.
Right.
And so he goes to jail and he meets his roommate, his cellmate, whose name I cannot remember.
I don't remember this scene at all because there's no other like repeated interactions with them. I don't think after this, right?
Well, he sees him a few times, but I remember this guy because he goes in and he's like, "Damn, this kid testified against me. I'd never even seen him before." And the guy's like, "You want to do something about it? I know a couple of guys in Brooklyn that can make sure he never confesses, he never witnesses again." And Fraser's like, "No." He's like, he's maybe my only way out of here. I don't want him murdered.
Yeah.
And so then every time we get like the parents come to visit, they're like, we're working on an appeal or XYZ. It'll just be a week. And then the movie goes full Avengers Endgame where like it cuts to black and then the words like 9 months later pop up.
Yeah, exactly. So the appeals process is taking a while. Are they?
Yeah.
Do they still have the same fucking attorney? I think it's a different. It's not.
They have a different attorney.
It's a
at this
different.
point.
Yeah.
Different public defender.
Yeah. And so, can you get public defenders for appeals?
I don't know. I would imagine so.
That seems like the premium package with lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like to get a defense on just your first trial case. That sounds like a basic
Yeah.
package you could get for free without a subscription care plan. But to go for an appeals is like a premium package. Then if you want to go to a Supreme Court, that's like the platinum package for attorney. Like how far does public defenders go with this? Like, can you use a public defender for a Supreme Court trial?
Yeah.
Can you?
I don't know.
I don't think you can.
I didn't go to law school. I went to film school. That's why I'm an unemployed filmmaker making podcasts.
Oh my God. I just realized. Like what we started with this podcast.
We're unemployed filmmakers right
Unemployed filmmakers.
now. We are unemployed for like 2 more days.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, you technically started. But anyway.
Technically, I started.
Anyway. So the appeal happens. Fraser's denied appeal.
And the scene, I want to talk about the scene, how he finds out about it, Martin Sheen, because it's really good.
Because they go through the full appeal process. And the way appeals work is like, you basically have to, at least in the like world of this movie, you have to prove that there is information that would have changed the decision that could have been discovered during the trial.
That wasn't. Yeah.
It can't be like...
that the information was there, but it was just like used incorrectly.
Yeah. The information had to just not be there.
Like, they had this witness of Jimmy O'Neill, but it was on the defense attorney to cross-examine or talk to the witness or whatever, which it wasn't done in the best way possible. Whereas if it was like there was a gun with fingerprints on it that they just did not find, and it was found for this appeal, that makes a difference.
Yes. So the appeal is denied, and
Look at me with my law degree.
Look at us. Look at us.
Who'd have thought?
Do you want to talk about the scene where Martin Sheen finds out how he finds out?
Yeah, because he goes to the law clerk's office who like releases like,
and she's like, "Oh, Harold, good to see you again this morning."
Yeah,
and he's coming there every morning.
Yeah, and they release the decision. He opens it up, and his demeanor immediately crashes down. One might say he's getting a little too saucy, hammy with his performance. Like, what would you call it, Jeff? Bathing in the river of ham.
Bathing in the river, whole honey ham.
Whole honey ham. He's getting a little hammy, but I like it. I do kind of like it.
I do.
He's really like selling it of like he wasn't expecting this decision at all. He even like runs up to the judge who made the decision. Is like, Judge, you gotta help me here. Explain this to me. Like, he didn't do it. It's like, listen, sir. It's like truth be told, like I think there might have been some weird things about the case, but I, in good conscience, could not
within the system that we have.
Yeah,
there's no way for us to grant you this appeal.
Yeah.
So Martin Sheen goes full like fucking James Bond mode, Ethan Hunt after this.
Yeah, he does.
He's like, I'm gonna find the evidence. The next scene is just like Martin Sheen walks into a detective's office, in just a wild scene.
Yeah.
He just like walks in the precinct. And he's like, "Where's the detective office?" And they're like, "Oh, up the stairs to the left." So he walks up the stairs. He goes to the left. He walks in. It's like, "How do I find this information?" The cop's like, "Oh yeah, use this computer."
This is literally like Johnny Depp in Public Enemies when he walks into the police precinct and sees his own investigation before his very eyes.
It's very much like that.
Listen, we work on a cop show.
Yeah.
We know that certain civilians have access to some
parts of the precinct. But not the detective's office.
The detective's office with all those information of people's information.
Yeah. Because he literally gets to the point where he finds the card with with the other Bobby's name on it.
And he sees the sequence of events that could have led to them picking the wrong person.
Yes.
So then he brings that information to the detective.
Yes.
The same detective who questioned him. And he's like, did you think that maybe because you showed him the picture that he put two and two together and made that decision to identify my son? And he's like, I don't know. Could have been. Yeah. As he eats his jelly glazed donut and then with one hand on the other hand just rips off the plastic wrapping of a Stromboli sandwich.
He's like, maybe. I don't know.
Could have been. Who knows? Could have been 4. Could have been 5. I see that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Maybe 6. That's a real thing.
At this point, the movie is really just kind of becomes the Martin Sheen hander.
Yeah.
Fraser kind of drops to the wayside. We check in with him every now and again, but it's mostly just like he's suffering in prison.
Yeah.
And those scenes I find pretty impactful.
Yeah.
Especially when he has a panic attack at night.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a really
very well acted scene.
Good scene.
Fraser's showing off at this point in his career, he's showing off the skills that he'll really get to shine with later.
And in the scene where this is after they've hired the ACLU lawyer, but when he has that news interview, that's a really good.
That's
scene.
A phenomenal scene.
Yeah, it's a really good scene.
So Martin Sheen decides he's going to get some help, so he goes to an active murder investigation, and finds his friend Jerry Duffy, who's just a homicide detective.
Yeah.
He just goes to a crime scene, walks past the police line, and steps on a puddle of blood. And he's like,
mop it up.
And he's like, Jerry. And Jerry's like, hey, watch it. You're stepping on the crime scene. He's stepping in someone's blood. What is this?
We've worked on a cop show. We know that people can't get into crime scenes like that.
Jerry Duffy, played by James Handy, who, when I was like, I recognize this guy from somewhere. And it turns out I didn't, but I did find out that I did see something recently with him in it.
Yeah.
You saw Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
We saw this together.
We saw it together. Do
you remember at the end of the movie after, spoiler alert, Maverick gets back from his mission?
Yeah.
He, goes to the bar that Jennifer Connelly's working at, and some random old guy walks out. And he's like, hey, Jimmy, do you know where Penny's at? And he's like, oh, he went out on the boat.
That's him?
That's this guy.
Wow, big pull. Big pull.
Where I was just, because I was just like, I recognize this guy from somewhere. It turns out I didn't recognize him from somewhere, unless subconsciously that's how that connection was made. But I was like, oh, he's in Top Gun. And I was like, oh, he's that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he's that guy.
He's that guy.
But he's fun in this movie.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie basically is just kind of a lot of repetition. It's the same thing happening a lot.
Yeah.
Because, There's another 2-year time jump. It takes Jerry like 3 years to investigate this, to go to like the Brooklyn precinct. But there's some sketchy stuff in there. You were right. And it's like, Jerry, what you been doing?
It's like I talked to the cops. None of them think your son did it.
It's like, Jerry, where you been?
Also, they remember a case from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's at that point they start writing a mass number of letters to like magazines.
Martin Sheen has a heart attack, or he doesn't have a heart attack, but he's close to a heart attack.
Yeah, basically has a panic attack.
Yeah. And like the doctor's like,
your blood pressure's out of control.
And the doctor's like, you got to give up on your boy, or else it might kill you. And he's like, I can't give up on my boy.
Which apparently the doctors all know about it now.
Yeah. I guess he just tells everybody he knows. My son, he's properly in prison. He's grabbing people.
My son didn't kill him.
Yeah. He didn't kill his wife.
Thank you.
There's a man in my house. No,
there's a man in the park.
Yeah.
A one-armed man.
I fought with this man.
This son did not work with this man.
But no, they send a bunch of letters and no one writes back.
Right.
Jerry like brings them to the ACLU.
Yeah.
And is like, what if I told you I knew about police misconduct? And the ACLU lawyer is like, normally I don't talk with cops a lot, so if you'll give me this information, I'm interested. Mm-hmm. He's a really snooty ACLU lawyer.
Yeah,
like,
kind of.
Like he should be the sympathetic character, but he's not.
Pretty much. Yeah, you would think so.
But he is like, I'm interested. Let's make this happen. So they kind of like put out the ACLU like fund goes into this. In addition to providing representation for Fraser, they go into like getting magazine interviews and newspaper interviews and a television interview.
Yeah.
And the television interview is great.
Yeah. I would say it's very similar of like what we saw with the confession scene.
Yeah.
But it's just Fraser like through all the years.
And he's kind of just describing like his life where he's like, my parents, even though I was a piece of shit, basically. Yeah. And they let me know how disappointed they were. They always gave me birthday presents.
Yeah.
And told me that they loved me.
Yeah.
He's like, and I'm just so happy that they're still fighting for me.
Yeah.
And I hope I get out and get to see them again. It's a really touching scene. Fraser does a very lovely job at this.
Very good job. Yeah. I buy it.
He's really showing off in this first movie.
Yeah. And
like, not that I think it's the best movie ever or that's the best performance he'll ever give, but you really can see the hunger there.
Yeah.
That he's a guy who's like, this might be my only shot, so I'm going to take it. Grab the bull by the horns and just go.
In a movie he could have easily
literally phoned it in.
Yeah.
Because he's on the phone a lot.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He puts the work in.
Right.
And I think that shows like his dedication that we'll talk about later, where he does a lot of his own stunts and whatnot and action movies.
Yeah.
But he's a guy who has, a level of dedication to his craft.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, Jeff. The only thing I can remember, they do some like research on Jimmy O'Neill and like the type of guy he was, and they find out that Jimmy O'Neill is not like
he robbed a car 3 weeks after the trial.
Yeah. That's all just to say that their star witness, who they painted as a good guy, was not a good guy.
Yeah, because after this point, all that happens in the movie is there's another trial. The judge throws out the conviction.
Yeah.
And the indictment.
Yeah.
They don't even have to go back to trial. Like in the appeal, the judge throws it all out.
Yeah. Which I don't know how
realistic that is, but it happens in the movie. And it's a really joyous ending.
Yeah, it is.
Because he gets out and like Martin Sheen's like yelling and so excited. And just is like 5 minutes to sort some paperwork and then you can go home. And he's like, I'm free. And then they like
freeze frame. And
it's like, every time you walk away. And then, goes to black and the credits start.
Yeah.
And I'm like, solid movie.
Yeah. Comparative to Plastic Bubble.
Yeah.
Like, there was never a moment I didn't buy Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Are you telling me you didn't buy Travolta in The Bubble?
No. This temper tantrums and like, oh, they're making fun of me.
What was that?
It's literally Travolta and how he sounds.
Making fun of me.
Making fun of me, Gina. Making fun of me. Oh my God, it's just so abysmal. Boy in the plastic. I just want to like look this up.
You want to look it up?
It's just so like.
Oh God, he's brought it up, folks. Stuart, you're the one who keeps telling me we've moved on.
Tina, what you run away for? Come back.
Audiences are loving this. Just listening to Stuart hold his phone up and playing scenes from The Boy with the Plastic Bubble.
Hold on a second. This is where he goes to the temper tantrum.
Isn't it? Okay.
Probably.
We're here to just talk about...
so funny. All right.
We're talking about how good Fraser is.
But you guys heard that, right?
Yes. Gina,
come back, Gina.
Fraser is showing off, he's showing off.
Yes.
And it's a movie that if I had seen it in the time, which apparently no one did, so...
It's a shame.
I would have been like, who's this kid?
Yeah, I want to see him in more.
I want to see him in more. Get him in the pictures.
Get him in the pictures.
Yeah.
Call the presses. Who's his agent?
Get him in there. Throw him in a couple of
Do you think he had an agent when this movie came out?
I would bet almost certainly he did.
You mean during the audition process he had an agent? Or do you think at this movie...
I would bet he has one by the time they start filming. Really? Maybe he doesn't for the audition, but he definitely gets one in that time period.
Really? Yeah, I don't know.
Like, as a first-time actor, I don't know if you could possibly navigate the contracts and signing on for a movie with an agent.
Yeah.
It'd be insane.
Yeah, that's probably true. We should talk about something. Cue the hair ranking.
Ah!
Welcome to the hair ranking. It's pretty good. It's decent.
Yeah, it's solid.
It's like shaggedy long hair.
It gets a little longer.
It's a little shaggedy long hair. Put this in number 1.
Oh!
I think it's number 1. I think it's the number 1 hair ranking.
And we're still sticking with hair ranking at this time, right?
Currently.
Currently.
Again, we're giving it to movie 10.
We're giving it to
By movie 10, we have to decide what the ranking is going to be. If it's going to be hair, because I don't know what else to rank.
I mean,
on
at this point, we've ranked hair.
Well, but we can change it.
We can change it. This is
because I think we can retroactively go back into the other movies. Like, I'm just trying to think of because we can't rank The Cry, even though that's what
can't rank The Cry. Can't crank the yell. Crank the yell. I said that.
Any post text of this movie, Jeff?
Comes out, airs on TV.
TV.
It is on TV. And it gets one nomination at the Artios for the Casting Society of America. Gets nominated for Best Casting for a TV Movie of the Week.
That's a sign.
Good job.
That's
it is a good cast.
Yeah.
Sheen's good in it, but I mean, Martin Sheen, so he keeps working, obviously.
Yeah.
But for Fraser, this is just kind of a calling card movie. He can be like, yeah, I was in a movie. It's my time to do something else. Like, I can prove my skills.
It got him his agent. It got him his name. It got him a credit. Yes. And I think it's a very good harbinger of what's to come.
Yes. Which we will start getting into because this is the last, not Fraser led or Fraser this is the last movie we're covering that's like a TV movie or something where he really doesn't appear much in it.
Yeah.
Because after this it's like Fraser movies. He's in the building block at the beginning.
I'm kind of good. I kind of we should relish this moment we're in. Because I remember this moment we were in last year with Travolting. It's like
he's about to pop off and it's exciting.
We're about to see it.
We're about to see the pop.
The pop.
Yeah.
All right. I'm pretty well good for her.
I don't think there was much more to say about this movie. Besides, it's a calling card. And we talked about how it showed his range and
we promised to, at some point, reprise our 2-hour-plus episodes, folks.
Oh. Baby, are we?
I know a lot of these episodes have been short, but, a lot of these movies are, no-name movies or movies where he's background, so that's kind of how the first few episodes are going to go.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure the audience is loving, I can listen to this on the drive home from work instead of the 5.5-hour Gotti episode. Yeah. We're going to have some long episodes coming up from just looking at the list.
Folks are probably still trying to finish that episode.
Yes, folks are still on.
And then they got the other Travolta movies
They're like on Mark's segment.
We're going way too fast for them.
No, stop!
Yo, please give me some time.
We gave him a week.
Yeah.
We gave him a week.
Gave them a week.
To catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, folks, for listening to our episode on Guilty Until Proven Innocent. Make sure to tune in next week for our episode on Encino Man.
Encino Man.
The Brendan Fraser pop-off, like real pop movie.
Yeah.
That's when he, kind of has his moment in Hollywood.
He emerges from the actor's stone age, you might say.
Yes. Encino Man. Next week with special guest Matt Abalde.
He finally is able to make fire
Yes.
with his career.
Yes. He does make fire with his career. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. As a reminder, Travolting is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Did that in a different order this time. Pop into our Reddit, r/Travolting, at TravoltingPod on Twitter or Instagram, TravoltingPodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions, find me on Twitter at Jeff W. Sweeney.
Nar.
Special thanks, as always, to Rebecca Johnson for our new graphic design. I hope you folks likes the new artwork we have. And Michael Van Bodum Smith for this new theme song that is now taking you out. Thank you so much, folks. See you next week for Encino Man.
Ooh.